Deeping and the other people in the room. "Ethel makes an excellent point," she said. "She's allowed to write her life story any way she wants, and it's certainly true that there have been a number of very successful memoirists who have, to put it mildly, embellished their memoirs." "Makes them more interesting," Ethel said. "But it's wrong," Ted Hagstrom thundered. Ted was a retired engineer. He tended to be a stickler for the rules. There was another round of disgruntled murmuring. Once again, Charlotte signaled for silence. "Before we critique Ethel's essay, I think we should ask her why she chose her rather unexpected ending for the chapter on her marriage," she said. "Ethel?" Ethel beamed. "It's more exciting that way." "Well, yes," Charlotte agreed. "But are you certain that it fits with the rest of what you've told us about Mr. Deeping? You've made it clear that your husband was an excellent provider and well-respected in the community. You said he was a church-going man. You mentioned his military service, and you said that everyone liked him." "Good golfer, too," Ethel said. 7 handicap. "Right." Charlotte cleared her throat. "Looked good in his uniform," Ethel said. She winked. "Never could resist a man in uniform. That's how I met him, you know. We were both in the military. I was a nurse. Left to get married and raise the kids." "Yes, you mentioned that. You also made a point of saying that after his death, you struggled as a widow with 2 young children to raise." "Yep." "Is it possible that, as much as you loved your husband, deep down you perhaps felt some resentment toward him because he left you and the children alone?" Charlotte suggested gently. "Well, it certainly wasn't easy making ends meet after he was gone," Ethel allowed. "But we managed." She beamed. "My son is a doctor, you know. My daughter is a lawyer." "You already told us 20 or 30 times that your kids are all successful," Hazel Williams muttered, not bothering to conceal her resentment. Hazel Williams had raised 3 children, but she had included only 2 of them in her memoir: a daughter who was a teacher and a son who worked in construction. Although she had dutifully recorded the birth of a second son in the family tree chapter, there had been no further mention of him. Every family had a few secrets, Charlotte thought. It was an unwritten rule in the class that the members of the group were entitled to their secrets. No one had a right to pry into another person's past. "I'm just telling you that we did all right after Harold was gone," Ethel said. "That's obvious," Charlotte put in quickly, hoping to change the topic. "It was a tremendous accomplishment raising 2 children on your own and working full-time. You have every right to be proud." Stan Barlow snorted. "Why is it that when a woman raises kids by herself, everyone thinks it's some kind of big deal, but if a man raises a family without a wife, he doesn't get any credit?" Mildred Hamilton, seated at the desk in front of Stan, turned in her chair. "I don't know any men who raised a bunch of kids on their own. All the men I know who lost their wives or got divorced were married again within 6 months. Take yourself, for instance." Stan reddened. He had recorded 3 marriages. "I'm just asking a reasonable question," he said. "I think we're getting off topic here," Charlotte said. She rose to her feet and made a show of looking at the large clock on the wall. All the clocks at Rainy Creek Gardens had big, easy-to-read numerals. "I see our time is up, and it's almost happy hour in the Fireside Lounge. The assignment for next week is to work on the section of the booklet titled My First Job." Most of the memoirists pushed themselves upright, collected their canes and walkers, and filed out of the classroom at a brisk pace. Happy hour was another popular activity that Charlotte had implemented. Management had voiced some alarm at the start, but Charlotte had pointed out that many of the residents were already in the habit of enjoying a pre-dinner glass of wine or a martini in the privacy of their own apartments. She'd convinced her boss that an organized happy hour was a better alternative. It not only